We've been pretty hot on Underdog Fantasy, so this was the last one I gave out on YouTube. It cashed, and then I also gave out this play on Twitter. My Twitter's below, so if I don't have time to make a YouTube video, I'll get out the plays on Twitter. Is we're 2 for 3 on this one. Our last leg is going to be TJ over 4.5 receptions. So hopefully we can keep it running hot. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 2 plays I just locked in, 3-pick and 5-pick entry. So let's get into it, right? Underdog Fantasy is an interesting platform. There's tens of thousands of lines you can bet on. And the first thing you need to understand is you always want to be playing 3-pick or 5-pick entries, right? Because the implied odds are minus 122. So what you're going to notice is I'm basically always playing 3-pick or 5-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy. Not 2-pick, not 4-pick, right? 3-pick and 5-pick. So all we need to do is find value at minus 122 odds. So there's a bunch of different strategies. And one of the top strategies that I like to do is use this screen, right? So you can see here we have NHL player shots on goal. This is called a screen. And all I do is I literally scan the screen for big discrepancies in the odds. So what I noticed right here is Alex Ovechkin, his shots on goal line is over under 3.5 on Prize Picks, and the sports books slightly juiced towards the over. And on Underdog, his over-under is 4. So we're getting half a goal better. So we want to take the under, right? There's value on the under. Every sports book is at 3.5. We can get under 4. So if Ovechkin has exactly 4 shots on goal, which is very likely, his distribution is centered around 3.5, 4 shots on goal. So if Ovechkin has exactly 4 shots on goal, this is a push on Underdog Fantasy, whereas we'd be losing that play if we took the under on Prize Picks or on the sports books, right? If he has 4 shots on goal, we're losing the under 3.5. We're pushing the under 4. And our 5-pick entry on Underdog would become a 4-pick entry. So that's the first play with a lot of value. Again, just found using the screen. And you can do this for, I use it, all the time when I'm betting. So we can see my next play as well. If I go back here, this one's even better if it's still available. Let's go back here. So where is this guy? So here, you can see Underdog has Brock Boeser, his line's at 2, over under 2. All of the sports books have his line at 2.5. That's even better, right? Most sports books don't even have any juice towards the under. Sugar House, Twin Spires, Bet Parks, they're just over under 2.5 at minus 114 juice, right? Bet Rivers, all these data points giving us over under 2.5 shots on goal at equal juice. We're able to get over 2. So in this case, we want to take the over. If he has exactly 2 shots on goal, we're going to push everyone who bets this play at minus 114 on Barstool or another sports book over 2.5. They're going to lose, right? So we're getting a lot of value being able to get over 2. And again, this distribution is centered around 2.5 shots on goal. So the probability this guy has exactly 2 shots on goal is pretty high. We're not talking about getting half a point of value in an NBA total, 220 versus 220 half. This guy, probably in 100% of his games, has had 0 to 6 shots on goal, right? If his over-under is 2.5, he's probably not getting 10 shots on goal. Or if he is, it's going to be very, very rare. So, being able to get 2 when all the books are at 2.5 is a ton of value. So next play I found is from the OddsJam middle tool. So you can see right here, Justin Fields, his over-under for passing attempts is at 20.5, right? And you could also see this in the screen if you just went to NFL and then you could go to, passing attempts. But long story short, what you're going to notice is his over-unders at 20.5. FanDuel has his over-under at 21.5. Caesars is 4 passing attempts higher at over-under 24.5. So we're getting 4 points in value to Caesars. Granted, they have the under slightly juiced, but that's massive, right? And on FanDuel, we're getting we're getting a full point of improvement from where they're setting their line. So we're using sportsbooks, more efficient, betting markets, and all of the betting tools on OddsJam to zone in on those few betting opportunities on Underdog Fantasy that actually have an edge, right? Out of the tens of thousands of odds on Underdog, most of these plays aren't profitable. They're charging minus 122 juice. So we're laying minus 122 juice, and it typically isn't going to make sense. It only makes sense when you're able to find plays like the one, we went through with Ovechkin, where we're getting under 4 and every sportsbook is telling us the line should be at over under 3.5. So we're getting value. So the entire point of OddsJam is to make this data actionable, to show you where the value is, right? You can't manually search the tens of thousands of odds on Underdog and compare the lines to the sports books. So with OddsJam, all the betting tools, they just try to point out to you, okay, here's where the value is. Justin Fields, you can get over 20.5 on Underdog. All the sports books have his line at 21.5 or 24.5. Seems pretty good, right? Whereas here on Rodgers, you wouldn't want to make any play on him on Underdog Fantasy. Why would you do that? FanDuel has minus 114 on the over and the under. Why on earth would you lay minus 122 implied odds in a 3-pick or a 5-pick entry? So long story short, that's the third play I went with. Then here, NBA play. Every sports book. So the EV tool is probably the most popular for finding bets on Underdog. And the reason is it's really easy, right? You just literally filter for Underdog Fantasy 5-pick, and then you take the highest profit margin plays, right? So typically, I just take the highest profit margin plays. Aaron Jones under 3.5 receptions, and then here you can see Kelly Oubre over 4.5 rebounds. Why do we like this play? Well, look at the sports books. Every sports book is pricing this as a heavy favorite on the over. Minus 128, minus 148 on Caesars, minus 150 on DraftKings. So every sportsbook, they set lines independently. So you're never going to get an exact answer as to what are the actual odds, but you use all this data in the market. Okay, Pinnacle, sharpest bookmaker in the world. They're setting the over at minus 158. Bet Online, another sharp offshore sportsbook. They're setting the line at minus 149. DraftKings setting the line at minus 150. Caesars minus 148. So you look at all this data in the market and you determine that, Kelly Oubre over 4.5, rebounds at minus 122 implied odds on Underdog is insanely good value, right? So we hit it. We're always looking for value. Like, people always overcomplicate sports betting. Oh, it's all about the sports. It's not about the sports at all, right? It's about value, beating the closing line, beating the market. You're not smarter than these sports books who have invested hundreds of millions of dollars investing into their line setting capability. Watching highlights of Aaron Jones isn't going to tell you if he's going over or under 3.5 receptions. It's extremely arrogant to actually think that you can do that and have an edge over the sports books, right? These sports books invest hundreds of millions of dollars into setting their lines, and more importantly, it's a market, right? So there are millions of people betting on the NBA tonight. So if you're just blindly being like, oh, I know LeBron's going over in points, and you bet on his over, why are you smarter than the millions of other people who are betting on the NBA tonight? Because this market is just like the stock market. It's supply and demand. Lines are set the way they are because there's equal action coming in on the overs and the unders on both sides of the market. And sportsbooks make their spread. They make their vig, right? So you're not smarter. So the way that you do it, I'm not smarter. Nobody's smarter. So the way you beat the books is, because they all want to be unique and set lines independently, is you ruthlessly scan the market, treating every sportsbook as an independent data point of where the line should be set, and you look for value. And that, I apologize, it cut out there for a sec, but I locked it in. You can see right here. I have a couple different plays. So this one was the best. So we have over 2 shots for Brock, over 20.5 passing attempts for Fields, Aaron Jones under 3.5 receptions. Again, OddsJam's just consolidating all this data from the sportsbooks, Underdog, Prize Picks, and showing us, right? And then here's my 5-pick entry, all the plays we went through. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. Let's make some money.